Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Awesome. Today we're diving into some fascinating Greek myths.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, those stories about love and loss and all those big transformations.
Those are some of the best ones. So timeless,
Totally. They still have so much to say about like human nature and the way the ancient Greeks saw the world.
Absolutely.
So we're going to be looking at this article called Greek Mythology Tales, Persephone, Orpheus, and Others.
Oh, great choice. I love how those myths weave together those really human experiences.
Right.
Love, grief, desire. And they put it all within this grand cosmic setting.
Like they were trying to explain the world around them, but through these really powerful stories,
But
right?
totally, with all that emotion.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's start with the story of Persephone and Hades.
Oh, okay.
So we have Persephone, right? She's the goddess of spring,
hmm
and she's totally adored by her mother, Demeter.
Demeter, the goddess of agriculture.
Right. So imagine that, like
Yeah.
that bond between them.
Oh, I can.
Demeter, nurturing all the earth's bounty, and Persephone representing that new life.
It's beautiful.
It is. And then we have Hades.
Oh, the god of the underworld.
Right. He's often seen as, this dark and sinister figure.
Right, but he's more complex than that.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
He's this ruler of a hidden realm, maybe a little lonely.
Isolated.
Yeah,
Yeah, maybe even yearning for connection.
that's a good point. And then Eros comes along. Eros with his arrows of love.
Oh, yeah, always causing a stir.
Exactly.
'Kay.
He strikes Hades, makes him fall head over heels for Persephone.
Oh, wow.
But instead of, trying to woo her,
Right.
Hades decides to just abduct her,
He takes her.
takes her straight to the underworld.
Wow. That's pretty bold.
It is, and you know what I think? I think it says something about the social dynamics back then in ancient Greece.
Oh, how
It
so?
wasn't just about love.
Right, right.
It was about power. Hades being a god, he kind of felt he could, take what he wanted.
He felt entitled.
Exactly. Even if it was a goddess.
That's a good point.
And this sets off this, chain reaction.
Oh,
Demeter is absolutely heartbroken.
of course, her daughter is gone.
Right. And she's furious.
I can imagine.
So in her grief, she allows the earth to, wither and become barren.
Oh, wow.
It mirrors her own despair.
The crops die. The land goes cold.
Exactly. It's this, powerful metaphor for the impact of loss, even on a cosmic scale.
Right. Like even the gods, they feel these intense emotions.
Yeah.
And those emotions have consequences for everyone. It's like connecting the personal to the cosmic.
Exactly. So then the question is, how do you fix this? How do you resolve this huge conflict?
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Well, Zeus steps in.
Zeus.
Yeah, king of the gods, always trying to keep things in order,
Makes sense. He's the one in charge.
right? And he negotiates this compromise.
Oh, interesting.
He says Persephone can go back to her mother,
Okay.
but there's a twist.
The twist.
Yeah. See, Hades, being, a little clever,
Yeah.
he had offered Persephone some pomegranate seeds while she was down in the underworld.
Oh, pomegranate seeds.
Yeah. And she had eaten a few.
Uh-oh.
And those pomegranate seeds, they weren't just a snack. They were a powerful symbol.
A symbol of what?
In Greek mythology, they represent a tie, a bond to the underworld.
Oh, wow. So by eating them,
She created a connection to Hades and his realm.
it wasn't just like a physical act then.
No, it was symbolic,
Mm,
full of meaning.
I see.
And this seemingly small act that has huge consequences.
How so?
Persephone's bound to spend part of the year in the underworld with Hades.
Oh, wow.
And that becomes the ancient Greeks' explanation for the changing seasons.
Oh, that's clever.
Right. When she returns to the surface, we have spring and summer.
Right.
And when she's in the underworld, it's autumn and winter.
That's amazing. They wove a story into a natural phenomenon.
It's not just a story, though. It's their way of understanding the world,
Yeah.
finding meaning in those cycles,
Yeah.
life and death, growth and decay.
And again, it shows that connection between the divine and the human.
Right. Their actions are intertwined.
Yeah, and that balance, that delicate balance
Mhm.
between those two worlds.
It's fascinating.
It is.
But our exploration of love and loss, it doesn't end there.
It doesn't.
Nope. Let's move on to the story of Orpheus and Eurydice.
Oh, okay.
This is where music and grief come together in a truly like heartbreaking way.
Oh, I know that story. Get ready. It's a real tearjerker.
It is. And it really speaks to, the power of art,
Oh, yeah.
the depths of love and the pain of loss.
It's all there.
So we have Orpheus, this amazingly talented musician.
He was more than talented. He was blessed.
Right. The Greeks believed that music, it had this divine power.
Absolutely.
It could influence emotions, even like sway fate.
That's powerful.
Orpheus, he was like the embodiment of that power.
Like a rock star. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Only his instrument was a lyre, not a guitar.
Right, right.
And his music, it wasn't just entertainment.
No, no.
It was an expression of his very soul.
Beautiful.
Like he poured all his emotion into every note.
And it resonated with everyone who heard it.
Exactly. So that's really important for understanding, the power that he had.
I see, yeah.
And then he meets Eurydice.
Okay.
And their connection, it's profound. Their love is deep and true.
So what happens?
Well, their happiness is shattered when Eurydice is bitten by a venomous snake and dies.
Oh, no.
Can you imagine the grief?
It must have been overwhelming.
It was. And it wasn't just like losing someone he loved.
Right.
It was like this silencing of a melody that was part of him.
A part of his very being.
Yeah. So driven by this unbelievable grief,
Yeah.
Orpheus decides to do the unthinkable.
What's that?
He journeys into the underworld.
No.
He does. He's going to plead with Hades for Eurydice's return.
Wow. That's a challenge to like the natural order of things.
It is. It's a descent into the realm of the dead.
Incredible.
And you know what his weapon is.
What? Not a sword, right?
Nope. His lyre.
Oh.
His music.
Oh, wow. That's powerful.
He stands before Hades in that shadowy realm and begins to play.
Oh, I can just picture it. Hades, surrounded by all those souls, and then this music.
Yeah. And it's not just entertaining, right?
Oh, it's more than that.
It transcends. It speaks of love, loss, this deep, deep yearning.
So profound that it moves even Hades.
Even Hades.
And Hades, maybe he's touched by this raw emotion, or
Sure.
maybe just captivated by the beauty of the music.
Right.
He agrees to let Eurydice go.
He does. Just like that.
Well, there's a catch.
Oh, of course there's a catch.
Right. It wouldn't be a myth without a catch.
Exactly.
And it's a cruel one, full of irony.
Oh, what is it?
Hades says Orpheus can lead Eurydice back to the world of the living.
Yeah.
But he must not look back at her.
What?
Yeah. Not until they both reach the surface. It's like a test,
Of what? Of his love.
of his faith, his trust
In her.
in her, in himself, in the power of his love.
Man, imagine that journey, the tension.
Oh, no.
Orpheus walking, leading the way.
Yeah.
He can hear her footsteps behind him.
Right.
This constant reminder that she's there.
But he can't turn.
But he can't see her.
He can't confirm that she's really there.
It's like a deeper fear, maybe.
Oh, what do you mean?
Like the fear that his love, that his music, it wasn't enough.
To bring her back?
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Right. It's like the myth is saying true love requires this leap of faith.
A willingness to trust even when you can't see.
Even when you're surrounded by the unknown.
That's a profound message.
It is. But this is where the myth takes a turn, a tragic turn.
Oh, no.
Orpheus, he's almost there, right? Steps away from freedom, from something.
From Eurydice.
And from Eurydice.
She's so close.
But he's overcome with doubt.
Oh, no. I know this part.
The silence behind him, it becomes unbearable.
He has to see her.
He has to know she's really there.
Right.
So he turns.
No.
He turns. And in that moment of weakness, of distrust, he loses her.
Forever.
Forever.
That's so sad.
She fades back into the shadows of the underworld.
Gone.
Gone.
Just when they were so close.
Wow.
It's like a reminder,
Right.
that hope is fragile.
Right.
And that doubt, it has consequences, terrible consequences.
The Greeks, they would have understood that, wouldn't they?
Oh, yeah. Their world was full of uncertainty,
Yeah.
Their lives often at the mercy of fate, of the whims of the gods.
Right.
So Orpheus's failure, it's a cautionary tale.
Don't give in to fear.
Don't give in to fear. Don't give in to uncertainty.
It's interesting, right? This recurring theme,
Which one?
the divine and the human, all mixed up.
Oh, yeah. Blurred lines.
We do something, it impacts the gods.
And the gods, they shape our destinies.
Sometimes for good.
Sometimes for bad.
Exactly. Which brings us to another myth.
Oh, which one?
Pygmalion and Galatea.
Oh, okay.
It tackles creation,
Creation.
desire, and the nature of reality itself.
Ooh, that's a good one.
It is. It makes you think about like what it means to love, to create, to find beauty.
In the ideal and the real?
Yeah, exactly.
I like it.
So Pygmalion, he's a gifted sculptor,
Okay.
but he's disillusioned with real women.
Disillusioned.
Yeah. He's looking for perfection, so he turns to his art.
What does he do?
He decides he's going to create the perfect woman.
Out of what?
Ivory. He sculpts her from ivory,
Wow.
and he calls her Galatea.
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 It's interesting, isn't it?
What?
He's not just making a statue, right?
So-
It's like he's trying to make his desires real.
Like a projection of his longing for perfection.
Exactly. It makes you wonder,
About what?
is he really in love with Galatea?
Good question.
Or is he in love with, like, his own creation?
With the idea of her.
Yeah.
It's deep,
Yeah.
right? All that psychology.
It is, and it gets even deeper.
How so?
Pygmalion, he becomes obsessed with Galatea.
Obsessed.
Obsessed. He dresses her up in fine clothes.
What?
He puts jewels on her.
Like she's a real person.
Yeah. And he talks to her like she's alive.
He's lost in this world he's created.
Totally. Blurring those lines between art and reality.
And that blurring of lines, it's like the key to the whole myth.
Why? What do you mean?
Well, it shows the power of art, right?
To capture our imagination.
Yeah. It can evoke such strong emotions that we start to believe in the impossible.
Right. Like Pygmalion believes Galatea is real.
And it also makes you think about control.
Control.
Pygmalion, he made Galatea, right?
Yeah.
So he has total control over her.
She can't reject him?
She can't say no.
So is his love genuine then?
That's the question.
Wow.
It's like he's trying to control love itself.
Sculpt it into the perfect form.
Yeah. But love, it's not like that, is it?
No.
It's wild, unpredictable.
Uncontrollable.
Exactly. And that's where Aphrodite enters the picture.
Aphrodite, the goddess of love.
The one and only.
What does she do?
Well, it's during her festival.
Okay.
And Pygmalion, maybe deep down, he wants his love to be real,
To be reciprocated.
Yeah. So he prays.
What does he pray for?
He prays for a wife, just like Galatea.
He wants his creation to come to life.
He does. He wants her to be real.
Wow, that's intense.
It is. And Aphrodite, she's listening.
She is.
She is. And she grants his wish.
No, wait.
She brings Galatea to life.
She does.
Pygmalion's ivory statue becomes a real woman.
That's incredible.
It is. It's like magic, pure magic.
Art transcending its boundaries.
Yes.
But
what?
it creates a whole new set of issues, right?
No, yeah.
Galatea, she was an object.
Right.
Now she's a person.
With her own thoughts and feelings.
Exactly. So does she really love Pygmalion?
Or is it just because he created her?
That's a good question.
Makes you think about free will.
What does it mean to be human?
These are big questions.
Big question.
And they still resonate today,
How so?
Well, think about it. We're still fascinated by AI.
Artificial intelligence.
Creating life, blurring the lines
Uh-huh.
between what's real and what's not.
It's true.
Pygmalion's story, it's a reminder
Of what?
that love, that creation,
Yeah.
they're powerful.
Powerful, but
But they come with responsibility.
you have to respect others' autonomy.
Exactly. And that brings us to another theme.
Which one?
Divine intervention.
Ooh. Okay.
And the consequences.
Interesting.
Throughout these myths, the gods are always meddling.
They are.
Yeah. Sometimes with good intentions, sometimes not. It reflects this worldview,
Yeah.
Like the divine and the human are intertwined.
Fate and free will are always in tension.
Exactly.
It's like they were trying to figure out life.
Yeah.
The good and the bad, the ups and downs.
Why are we here? What does it all mean?
They saw the gods as powerful, but also flawed.
Capable of kindness and cruelty.
Just like us.
It makes you think about our own relationship with the unknown, doesn't it?
With the forces that shape our lives.
Does it give control?
Or are we just players in this grand cosmic drama?
Right. It's a big question.
It is. But before we wrap up this idea of love and loss,
Yeah.
we need to look at one more story.
Okay.
Which one? Adonis and Aphrodite.
Oh, interesting. What's that one about?
Passion, jealousy.
Ooh.
It's a relationship between a goddess and a mortal.
A goddess and a mortal. That's forbidden, right?
It's definitely complicated.
I bet. Okay, so tell me more.
Well, this myth has all those classic elements of a Greek tragedy,
Like what?
This love affair that breaks the rules, a jealous goddess, and a tragic ending.
Sounds intense.
It is.
Yeah.
So Adonis, he's a mortal man, but incredibly handsome.
Okay.
And he catches the eye of Aphrodite.
Aphrodite, the goddess of love, falls for a human.
She does, but it starts with an accident. Kind of ironic, actually.
What do you mean?
Aphrodite is wounded by Eros's arrow.
Eros arrow.
Yeah, one of those love arrows.
Oh,
She's
wow.
like, even the gods aren't immune to desire.
That's a good point.
Aphrodite, the goddess of love, is struck by love.
Because of her own son's arrow.
Exactly.
That's wild.
It is. So Aphrodite is drawn to Adonis.
Irresistibly.
Irresistibly.
And they start this passionate affair.
They do, but it's not easy.
Why not?
Well, Aphrodite, she's consumed by her love for Adonis.
Okay.
She becomes possessive, jealous.
She's a goddess.
She is.
She should be, like, above that.
You'd think, right? But she's afraid of losing him.
Because he's mortal.
He's mortal, and she knows his time is limited.
Even gods and goddesses feel those human emotions, huh?
They do. Love, fear, loss, it's all there.
Their power doesn't protect them from heartbreak.
Nope. Or from death.
So what happens to Adonis?
Well, despite Aphrodite's warnings, he keeps doing dangerous things.
Like what?
Like hunting wild boars.
Oh, no.
And wouldn't you know it, he's killed by a boar.
He is.
Yeah. Aphrodite is devastated. Her grief, it's so powerful it impacts nature.
We mean?
Flowers bloom where his blood touches the ground.
Wow. That's beautiful and sad.
It is. It's like a symbol, you know?
What?
The beauty that comes from tragedy.
It's interesting how these myths tie human emotion to the natural world.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Aphrodite's grief isn't just personal.
Right.
It changes the landscape.
It reminds us that everything is connected.
And Adonis's death, it becomes this metaphor.
For what?
The cycle of life and death, growth and decay.
Even beauty fades.
Even beauty fades.
It's a reminder that everything changes.
But there's a twist, right?
There is.
What happens?
Adonis is allowed to return to the world of the living.
He is.
But he's dead.
He is. But the gods may be touched by Aphrodite's grief. They make a concession
He can come back.
for part of the year.
Part of the year.
And his return brings spring, new life, renewal.
It's like the changing seasons again.
Right. It's a story, but it's also an explanation.
For the world around them. For the way things work.
It's amazing how they did that.
It is.
But it also offers hope, doesn't it?
Hope.
Yeah. Even in death, there's a chance of return, of renewal.
Life finds a way.
Life finds a way.
Yeah.
And it ties back to that relationship between humans and the divine complex. The gods, they're powerful, but they don't control everything.
Right.
Fate plays a role, but so do we, our choices, our actions.
The ancient Greeks understood that.
They did.
That tension, that interplay.
It's all there in these myths.
Layers of meaning, insights into human nature.
They were asking those big questions too.
The ones that have always haunted us.
Love, loss, meaning, purpose.
The ancient Greeks, they weren't so different from us.
They weren't. They were trying to understand the world too.
To find meaning, to make sense of it all.
And they left us these stories, these myths.
To guide us, maybe, to give us comfort.
To show us we're not alone.
Exactly.
So, as we move on to look at the broader themes in these myths,
Okay.
let's start with love and sacrifice.
Love and sacrifice.
We've seen these grand gestures,
Right.
desperate acts, sacrifices.
On the name of love.
So, what can we learn from these stories?
About how they understood love.
Yeah. What did love mean to the ancient Greeks?
Well, it wasn't always romantic.
What do you mean?
It wasn't always gentle and sweet.
Okay.
It could be fierce, possessive, even destructive.
Destructive.
Yeah. It could drive gods to kidnap goddesses.
Right.
Mortals to defy death.
Or sculptors to blur the lines between reality and fantasy.
Exactly. It's a far cry from the romantic love we see today.
Right. It's messy, complicated.
And it often comes at a price.
It does. Think about Hades and Persephone.
Okay.
He abducted her, right?
He did.
It wasn't romantic.
No.
It was about power.
Showing his authority.
But even then, there's this hint of desire.
For connection.
Yeah, he wants someone to share his world with.
Interesting.
And then there's Orpheus.
Oh, Orpheus.
He loved Eurydice so much
that
that he challenged the underworld.
went to the realm of the dead.
For her, it shows how far we'll go for love.
It does.
Okay.
But it's also a warning doubt.
Mm.
Lack of faith.
He looked back,
He did.
and he lost her.
Sometimes loving someone means letting go.
Trusting,
Trusting.
even when you can't see them.
Even when you can't see them. And then we have Pygmalion.
Pygmalion.
His love was different.
It was. He created Galatea,
He did.
poured his heart into it.
But was it genuine?
Could it be? If she couldn't reject him.
Good question.
It makes you think about what we want.
What we try to control.
Yeah.
And then there's Aphrodite and Adonis.
The goddess and the mortal.
Passion, jealousy, tragedy.
She loved him so much.
And it wasn't enough.
Death took him anyway.
It did.
It's a reminder that love, even divine love, can't conquer everything.
It's subject to fate, to mortality.
So what do these stories tell us about love and sacrifice?
They show us the human heart.
Its capacity for love and loss.
They remind us that love is powerful.
It can inspire good and bad.
Right. But maybe the most important thing is this.
What's that?
Love is a journey.
A journey.
Full of twists and turns, ups and downs.
It takes courage.
Trust.
And a willingness to embrace it all.
The good and the bad.
Love is a journey.
It is. And speaking of journeys, let's move on to another theme.
Okay.
Transformation.
Transformation. We've seen characters change so much.
Physically, emotionally.
It's central to these myths, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's how the ancient Greeks understood life.
Life.
The cycles, the constant change.
Growth and decay.
Creation and destruction.
Think about Persephone.
Okay.
She goes from carefree maiden to the queen of the underworld,
A dual role.
reflecting the changing seasons,
Her story shows us that transformation is tied to nature.
to those rhythms of life and death.
Exactly.
And then there's Galatea.
Galatea.
She literally transformed.
From ivory to flesh and blood.
It makes you think about creation, about identity.
The boundaries between art and reality.
It's all about belief, isn't it?
Belief and blurring lines.
And Orpheus, he changed too, even though it wasn't physical.
It was emotional.
His loss transformed him.
His music became filled with sorrow.
His journey into the underworld, it changed him.
It marked him.
It reminds us that transformation can be beautiful and painful.
It shapes us, molds us.
It makes us who we are.
It does.
These stories show that the Greeks saw change as a fundamental part of life.
Something to embrace, to fear, to understand.
It shapes us and the world around us.
It does. And as we consider these themes, we can't forget about the gods.
Right, divine intervention.
Their influence.
They're always involved, aren't they?
They are, sometimes for good, sometimes for bad.
It creates this world where the lines are blurred.
Between humans and the divine.
Fate and free will all tangled up.
Think about Zeus,
So,
king of the gods, always trying to restore balance.
he wants order.
But his actions have consequences.
Sometimes they backfire.
They do. And then there's Aphrodite.
Her love for Adonis
It led to tragedy.
and her grief changed the world.
Even gods and goddesses are driven by emotion.
Their actions have ripple effects.
They do. It seems like the ancient Greeks understood something.
Look at that.
That the divine, it's powerful, but not always predictable.
Or just
The gods, they have flaws, passions.
like us.
It reflects their world, a world of beauty and cruelty.
Joy and sorrow all mixed up.
It's a worldview that's, well, it's complicated.
It is comforting and unsettling.
Right. We're not alone in our struggles, but we're also at the mercy of forces we can't control.
These myths, they challenge us to think about our place in the cosmos.
Do we have free will?
Or are we just pawns?
Are the forces that shape our lives good or bad?
Or do they even care?
These are questions that have always been with us.
And the Greeks, through their myths, they tried to answer them.
They gave us a glimpse into their own struggles.
It's amazing, right? How these stories from so long ago can still speak to us.
I know. It's like those basic human experiences, they transcend time.
Exactly. Love, loss, trying to figure out who we are.
It's all there. And that's why these myths are so valuable, you know?
They are. They're more than just stories.
They're a reflection of us, of humanity.
Yeah. Explorations of those big questions
Love, loss, power, fate, free will.
makes you think, what did the ancient Greeks believe?
About all of that.
Yeah. Were they afraid of the gods?
Or did they think they could, work with them?
Have a good relationship?
That's a tough one. The myths, they show both sides,
What do you mean?
Well, there's definitely reverence, respect.
Go to the gods.
Yeah. But also fear.
Because they were so powerful?
And unpredictable.
Right. It's like they knew the gods could bless them.
But also punish them.
So they had to be careful.
They had to find a way to live with them, to honor them.
It's like a partnership, almost.
It's not a balance. Yeah.
We can't control the gods, but we can try to live the right way.
Respect them, acknowledge their power.
Maybe even earn their favor.
Exactly. Which is why rituals and sacrifices were so important to them.
Right. They weren't just going through the motions.
No. They were acknowledging the gods, seeking their help, their guidance.
Maybe even trying to influence them a little.
It's different from how we see religion today, but it makes sense,
It does. We all want to feel connected to something bigger than ourselves.
To find meaning, especially when the world feels so chaotic,
Exactly. And I think that's what these myths offer us.
a connection to something larger,
A reminder that we're not alone.
that we're part of a bigger story,
A story that's been unfolding for centuries.
and will continue long after we're gone.
So, as we wrap up our deep dive today, I want to leave you with a question.
Okay.
What do you think these myths tell us about the ancient Greeks' view of humans and the gods?
Are they afraid?
Or did they see a chance for harmony, for a real relationship?
A partnership based on respect, reverence, connection.
It's up to you to decide,
Explore the myths, ask questions, find your own meaning.
because that's the beauty of these stories, isn't it?
They challenge us, they make us think.
And they're full of possibilities.
So keep exploring, keep learning.
And until next time, happy myth making.